Abu Dhabi, meia-noite, terraço ao lado do mar, céu estrelado, temperatura perfeita. 400 pessoas, idades e procedências variadíssimas, reunidas com um objetivo em comum: curtir a noite como se não houvesse amanhã. Desde a minha privilegiada cabine de controle, observo atentamente todos os movimentos: a corrida dos garçons, o balanço dos copos e dos corpos, mulheres divinas serpenteando os cabelos ao som da música, os flertes, o movimento frenético dos bartenders atendendo ao povaréu que se acotovela no bar em busca de um drink. All the details of this space-time are essential so I can carefully choose the next song and thus continue with yet another ritual of festive celebration among humans, as old as our species. Evento regado a sorrisos, suor, álcool e muita pose que acontece religiosamente todos os fins de semana nos 4 cantos do planeta. I was already forgetting to introduce myself. My name is Marise Cardoso, Brazilian and Sonic explorer since my childhood. Here I am, presenting a seed of my proposal on writing a book in Portuguese, my mother language, where I will share my personal sonic journey exploring the fascinating, deep and complex aspects of the sound and its impact in my life and in the life of others. The main goal of this project is to share insights for a transformational experience. A comprehensive amount of information about evolutionary musicology, the science behind the sound and healing, and also simple practices able to inspire normal people to dive deep on their own self-healing experience from the comfort of their living rooms. From the spheres to the online life and back, searching for Nada Brahma in a hyper-connected world. Minha extensa carreira musical aconteceu fora do Brasil. E por ocasião dessa história que compartilho com vocês agora, eu estava recém-chegada ao Oriente Médio, convidada para inaugurar o exclusivo clube de praia na rica e conservadora capital dos Emirados Árabes, Abu Dhabi. Suddenly, running across the courtyard, out of breath, arrives the general manager, Belarusian, young, very competent and angry, very angry. When I see the scene, I take a deep breath because I know that a request comes around next. VIP client request, a sheikh who wants to listen to Arabic music or something like that. Varied situation that often require a radical maneuver in the direction of musical selection, which has to be performed with great elegance to sound fluid to the ears of hundreds of people who are delighting themselves on the dance floor. But this time, the lady boss came up with another conversation. Darling, we are close to breaking the historical record of all our branches, read New York and London. And I want, between the lines, I want equals need, demand, that we surpass these numbers in the next half hour. Se vira, DJ, está nas suas mãos. It is clear that somehow the DJ is the conductor of the great orchestra of nightclubs, bars, discos and restaurants. What people don't realize is that our work directly affects and influences the spirit, mood and productivity of a giant team. In the case of this luxurious lounge by the sea, a team of over 150 people doing their best to work in fine harmony with the mission of offering impeccable service to a 7-star clientele, who are paying several figures for that night out. Pressure, my dears, a lot of pressure. Mas estamos aqui para isso, querida gerente. Desafio proposto, desafio aceito. My strategy in these cases is obviously to create a contagious wave of euphoria and happiness. That is the easy part. As with years of practice in a full repertoire, we know exactly how to drive the song sequence to achieve a burst of happiness hormones. Neurotransmitters such as endorphins, dopamine, oxytocin, and serotonin act as chemical messengers triggering feelings of joy, well-being, and elation, in addition to affecting a wide variety of physical functions, including heart rate, appetite, sleep, and sexual desire. But the ace in this whole is to engineer how, surgically, to combine this collective ecstasy with brief moments of decompression so that people have the will, time and space to place their orders at the bar. Tudo perfeitamente calculado, amigos. Full and troubling dance floor all the time doesn't pay your salary, my little Slav boss would say. É a magia da música, ditando a urgência do consumo de álcool e o dispêndio de dinheiro nas madrugadas do mundo. At this point, you might be wondering, how does this crazy story of a Machiavellian DJ with the ability to hypnotize rich and not so rich into ruthlessly extract mountains of dollars on a party night has to do with the subject of this book and the healing through sound? Aha! This was exactly the question that started hammer my existence like a pile driver at 140 BPM after 20 years of professional activity as a DJ in several countries around the world. Especially after 5 years working in Abu Dhabi, Dubai, with a weekly journey compatible of a factory worker. If the music that sounds in a commercial environment is able to influence consumption habits and behavior and exponentially increase sales, or, on the other hand, destroy them, such is the subtle effect it has on people, imagine the power these same musical notes rearranged would have in the awakening of the immense human potential. Beset by a flurry of questions, I was called to find the answers, which led me to travel to spectacular and faraway places to investigate, learn, listen, experience, share and expand. E é um pedacinho dessa jornada que eu quero compartilhar com vocês hoje. But what about the manager, the shakes, the hardcore billing? It worked out. Deu sim. So true that in the first 2 years, we had a full house with a magnetic environment and impeccable billing. We won awards and the recognition from the local press. We opened a branch in Qatar and another in Dubai, and you can say that we made history in Abu Dhabi's nightlife. E a chefa? At the end of the night, the girl was jumping up and down with joy, and to celebrate our billing record, she popped several bottles of champagne to toast with the team. Missão cumprida, pronta para o próximo desafio. Madrugada quente de verão em Barcelona. I left another successful performance in a stuffy hellhole in the Raval, part of a life project that lasted 14 years and could be called the 1001 Mediterranean Nights. Uma combinação equilibrada de música boa, altas vibras, dança e comunhão entre humanos. I stopped to get some air and exchange impressions about the party with some friends in the square in front of the venue, before cycling on the beach shore back home. Conversation comes and conversation goes. A friend reminds me that Amma, the Indian spiritual and humanitarian guru, also known as the Holy Hug, was in town, with her temporary ashram set up in a multi-sport gymnasium facing the sea, which was precisely in my way. I proposed that we stop by, knowing that on nights like this, where I work for so many hours with music and high energy, it takes me a long time to fall asleep. Ossos do ofício. We climbed on our bikes and set off for the coast, the fresh morning wind ruffling our hair. When I arrived at the place, I realized that I was dressed for the night, lightly made up, and had taken some gin and tonics, meaning that I didn't have a very spiritual aura, so to speak. But believing that what counts is the purity of the heart, I didn't pay attention to this detail. The gymnasium was very quiet and silent, several people resting in their sleeping bags in the stands. On the side of the court were stalls selling books and offering chai and biscuits. In the center was the meditation area, We sat down and spent a long time listening to the silence and enjoying the peace. Suddenly, a buzz snapped me out of my meditative state and made me open my eyes. To my pleasant surprise, Amma entered the room with her security guards and helpers entourage, ensuring her protection and avoiding any disturbance. Amma is one of those creatures that just by seeing her and feeling the tremendous positivity that emanates from her presence, fills our hearts with affection, compassion, and belief in the future of humanity. Wow, I didn't expect this one, but here was Amma, a woman who is a force of nature, at 5 a.m. in a hot summer night in Barcelona, in a gym full of snoring people. With a permanent smile on her face and unparalleled softness, Amma sat on a kind of throne adorned with colorful clothes and many flowers. She began to talk in Hindi with simultaneous translators into English and Castilian. With her fantastic sense of humor, she told stories and the whole room resonated with laughter. Eu estava tão magnetizada com a sua presença que não escutava nada, flutuando na corrente positiva que emanava daquele ser vibrante. At one point, I was snapped out of my trance when one of the guru's advisors asked loudly, "Is there anyone here who has never been hugged by Amma?" Immediate reaction, I raised my arm. Imagine what a privilege. Amma had been all day hugging thousands of Barcelonians, and now, late at night, I was offered the possibility of being received by her. It was a gift. They organized us in a small line in front of the stage, about 10 people only. Amma was very chatty and the atmosphere was magical, with an odd lightness. When was my turn coming, I noticed that Amma was sitting in the center and whoever arrived to receive the hug was instructed to place their hands on either side of the throne and lower their head into the guru's lap. I saw them that Amma hugs you, but you don't hug Amma. When came my turn, I could have sworn the entire gym was listening to the barks of my beating heart. Tum, tum, tum. Amma, Hindi name for mother, hugs me tight and, to my utter surprise, begins to purr in my ear. A delicious murmur that vibrates her great chest and resonates through my head and torso. Within seconds, my entire body was vibrating in unison with her, a feeling impossible to describe in words. It was as the density of the matter momentarily dissolved with that vibration. I floated through the cosmos in Amma's arms. I have no idea how long this trance lasted, especially since Amma started talking and telling stories again without letting go of her embrace, with me shrunk in her arms. Jonathan Goldman, musician, author, and pioneering studies of potential of sound as a healing instrument for nearly 50 years, has written a fantastic book on the subject called The Humming Effect. In the book, he explains that there are two ways that sound basically affect us. The first is called psychoacoustics, and is when the waves of sound go into our ear, reaching our brain, affecting the nervous system, influencing the heart rate, respiration, and the brain waves. The second way is known as vibroacoustics, considering the use of sound directly onto the body through skin and bone conduction, where research shows sound waves move 13 times faster than does through the air. After many years for Amma's hug, the opportunity to be introduced to integral sound healing is helping me to associate several situations I experienced in a life dedicated to the music, which were very intriguing to me. And now I'm able to offer a sort of translation of the essence of those concepts for you in a very simple manner. Uma dessas situações instigantes aconteceu quando eu tinha uns 13 ou 14 anos de idade. I was a student at the Escola de Música de Brasília since childhood, a public conservatory with a very solid curriculum that trained great musicians in the capital of Brazil. I was studying the cello, and on that occasion, we went to present a Christmas concert with one of the school's orchestras in a highly regarded hospital in the city. The room was filled with children of all ages, some sitting on the floor, some on their beds, as well as nurses and some parents. I don't remember the repertoire, certainly something quite light and cheerful. In the middle of the performance, I noticed that there was a child sitting very close to me with her little angel hands touching the top of my instrument. She seemed to have been there for some time, as she was very focused, with her eyes closed and immersed into the music. I got really scared and even lost track of what I was playing. O maestro me deu aquela olhadela torta, como quem diz: "E aí, menina, pirou?" Moments later, my intuition signaled that maybe the girl was touching the body of the cello so she could feel the acoustic resonance of the instrument's wooden case. Those little hands were literally listening to the music through the sound vibration. I was very moved, and of course, I perfected the interpretation even more. After many years from that afternoon, now I understand better what was going on. The brain processes the sound stimulus in different areas, where the main parts are the sensory cortex, the nucleo accumbens, the amygdala, cerebellum, and the auditory cortex. Each of these parts plays a key role in how we experience music. Since people who are deaf lack one of the 5 senses, the other senses, through brain plasticity, work together to make up for the loss of hearing. What was happening with that little girl was that those areas of her brain were adapted in order to interpret the sound through the sensors of her hand's skin, other than through messages coming from her ears. Definitely, she was able to enjoy the concert, but in a different way of the other hearing children, and she made her way to do it bravely in her full capacity. Our appearance of solidity, our bodily and matter comprehension are actually an artifact of our perception. All of creation, including ourselves, are simply packs of vibrating information. This said, treating vibration with vibration seemed very sensible and logical to me. But what is the process where those vibrational packs, that means everything including us in a quantum physics comprehension, could shift with the use of vibration? This phenomenon is called entrainment. Entrainment is actually a subcategory of resonance. It was discovered in the 16th century by a Dutch physicist by the name of Christian Huygens. Huygens, among other things, was the man who found the rings around Saturn. The legend says he had a laboratory in Amsterdam full of different size clocks, heritage of his grandfather, all of them moving pell-mell together. One night, he decided to try an experiment, making sure that all clocks were moving out of time and they had absolutely no synchrony together. And he walked out from the lab. The next morning, as he came back to his laboratory, all Grandpa's clock's pendulums were moving together at the same time. Tick-tack, tick-tack. This is what we called entrainment. Entrainment is when the frequencies of one object will affect the less powerful frequencies of another object that begins to vibrate in synchrony. It's a very powerful phenomenon that explains how we can use the sound for healing. Oftentimes, if you want to entrain with another person, the easiest way to affect change in their neural system is via rhythm. A classroom audience will entrain with the heartbeat, respiration, brain waves, and the speed of talk of the teacher. A lover entrains heart, brain, and circulatory functions with her loved one. Actually, you are probably resonating and entraining with me right now, even reading this long time after I wrote. Mas isso é assunto para outro capítulo. The nature of rhythm is inside the body. According to Daniel Levitin, author of the incredible book This is our brain on music, the science of a human obsession. Elite athletes have been taking advantage of this principle for decades, even if they are not fluent in the neuroscience concepts behind it. Sprinters used to listen to music with a tempo that is slightly faster than their natural running gait. The neurons begin to fire at this new tempo, and the body follows suit, supercharging the athlete's performance in a way that would never be possible without the aid of that rhythmic jolt. A steady and clear beat also can help Parkinson's patients overcome their characteristic shuffling gait. Although this type of music therapy can't cure Parkinson's, it can significantly improve a patient's quality of life. Coming back to Jonathan Goldman's humming effect, he affirms that even having many different instruments and tools available, there is one that is considered the most powerful instrument for healing. Could you imagine what instrument we are talking about? Few cues. You don't need to go to a shop in order to purchase it, doesn't require electricity, and the user's manual is completely accessible for all of us. If you said it's your voice, you are right. We all have the most extraordinary instrument for calming and healing. An ancient, unique, and extremely powerful tool that most of the times we activate only in order to communicate. The voice of a human being is a rich tapestry of multiple harmonics, all vibrating together to create the unique tone of each individual's voice. When we project our voice, the harmonics will be vibrating and resonating in a pure mathematical formula that represents the harmony of creation, the golden mean, also known as Fibonacci sequence. Whole number ratios that will be restoring balance on multi-levels, with a huge healing potential. E isso também é assunto para outro capítulo. While musical instruments appear to be a recent innovation, from around 14,000 years ago, self-produced sounds are certainly significantly older. Primitive hominids used to live and move around in small groups. The noise generated by the locomotion of two or more individuals often results in a complicated mix of footsteps, breathing, movements against vegetation, echoes, and etc. The ability to perceive nuances and all those sounds in pitch, rhythm, and harmonies could aid the brain in distinguishing among sounds arising from discrete sources in our ancestors' natural environments, and also help individuals to synchronize their movements with one another. Tick-tack, tick-tack. This music-like behavior could facilitate social cohesion, improves group effort, reduces conflict, and facilitates perceptual and motor skill development. Endurance and an interest in listening may, at some stage, have been associated with survival advantages, eventually resulting in adaptive selection for rhythm and musical abilities. The experience of transporting myself to another dimension inside Emma's arms on that warm Mediterranean night also confirms Jonathan Goldman's incredible equation. Frequency plus intent equals healing, meaning that it's not only the frequency of the sound that creates its effect. The intention literally affects the way sound is projected and consequently the way the sound is received. The source of our intention becomes the focus of our attention. When our heart and our brain are in a state of synchronization, we say that there is a heart-brain coherence going on. Incredible research is being developed in that direction by the Heart Math Institute. When heart-brain coherence happens, the electromagnetic field that is generated from our brain and the electromagnetic field generated from our heart basically entrains together and becomes anywhere from 50 to 500 times greater. This said, learning how to use the vibration plus intention as a tool for self-balance could be the antidote for our stressed modern lives. Why? Because it's free and is inclusive. Everybody is able to hum. Children do it. The elderly do it. Different from singing, that involves a lot of auto-judgment, luckily, we don't judge much about our humming. When we are happy, we unconsciously hum. When we are in love, we hum all the time. Mothers usually hum on a rock-a-bye baby. We always hum while cooking delicious meals. Humming é uma função tão antiga quanto o Homo sapiens, que nós seguimos praticando para sentir-nos melhor. We live in a planet overloaded of sensorial and vibrational inputs. Technology definitely multiplied the opportunities for learning and connection. But by other hand, our devices are bombarding us non-stop with unnecessary information, plus loads of electrical and ultrasonic invisible waves. But we are also gifted with incredible technology. Instead of wires and chips, our extraordinary and complex machine is a bustling chemical plant much more sophisticated than any chip could ever be, and definitely we can learn to self-regulate this powerful operating system. If you are keen to explore your self-healing superpowers, I suggest you to begin this intriguing trip exploring your own instrument, the resonated channel called body, through your voice. Understanding the voice as the ultimate source of embodiment. Realizing the potential of sound as the ground of consciousness. This perception would be decisive in the way we approach our health and our future. Amma's Vibro Ultra Deep Hug offered me not only an incredible feeling of love and care, but an enormous list of benefits that after this year and a half deep diving into the sound's mysteries, I'm able to share with you. I've got a significant reduce on my heartbeat and respiration, increasing levels of oxygen in my blood. My neurosystem laboratory had released all sorts of different neurochemicals, those wonderful self-create opiates that allows you to feel high naturally. I've also got a strong release of nitric oxide, powerful vasodilator, boosting the free flow of blood throughout my whole body, helping reducing pain, among many other benefits, all now scientifically proved. Maybe you are asking yourself what happened after Amma's event. Well, I left the space as flying in an air balloon and went watching the sun rising by the sea. When I finally decided to go home, floating with my bike, I felt an internal call to take a shower and come back to Amma's ashram, now with a more appropriate outfit. I spent all day volunteering at the kitchen, feeding myself with that magnificent energy. When finally went home at night, I had the best night's sleep ever due to the boost of melatonin in my blood. The main lesson I've got from this integral sound healing project process is that somehow we all here are light bringers. And we must learn how to love ourselves, love others, love unconditionally. As Amma does, as the Dalai Lama does. When we love ourselves deeply enough, we develop the ability of being ultra-selective with all we are consuming and reverberating. Thoughts, feelings, and emotions, committed with the small and big decisions we take each and every moment in order to honor this profound self-love. We begin to live a life of more awareness, selecting carefully the seeds we want to plant in the gardens of our heart. And from heart's fertile soil, and with that good hand-picked seeds, we will not just survive, we will thrive as humanity. Surviving only would be a very limited goal for this existence, knowing the magic and the privilege that is to be alive here and now. When thriving, no matter what life brings to our doorstep, experiences, learnings, challenges, inner revolutions, and slow evolutions, we begin to shine so bright that all of our immediate circle, family, friends, community, and fields of influence, no matter if it's live or online, will be infected. And honestly, I consider all of these discoveries so profound and relevant that they became the main motivation for my life from now onwards. Love is all we need.